Hello and welcome to another episode on Mars Bonsai channel. Today very short episode, kind of Q&A about two topics. One is why air layer and how to work on roots on your trees. I will talk about carving tools I'm using for working on deadwood on my trees. So topic number one. Recently I received the question about why I was layering the elm bonsai a few episodes back. You can find it in an archive. And the thing is that we need to understand a little bit about how roots are important for a tree in the nature and in the bonsai. And we need to understand what kind of functions the roots are fulfilling. For starters, the roots are fixing the tree to the ground. In the nature, it's more important than in the bonsai because forces like wind, if we are talking about mature trees in the nature where the height of a tree is much bigger, the levers are much longer, so the wind is pushing the tree and trying to topple it. It needs a lot of strong roots to fix it to the ground to prevent it from being broken or toppled from or taken out from the ground by wind or snow or blizzard or whatever. In the pot, this problem is not so important because we have much smaller plant and we don't have so big forces. Foliage is not so big, so the tree cannot be really easily damaged, and we have it under control in our controlled environment in our garden. Second important function is the transportation. So the roots are fulfilling the role of transport the water to the plant up, and then during the growing season, transportation and storing the sugars which are created by foliage and transport it down and store it in the core of the root system. So this is the same as in the nature. Speaking about aesthetics, this is very important for us in bonsai culture, where we need to have certain quality of roots. Sometimes the people say the nebari and the roots are the most important. I can agree with that the shape and the size of roots is very, very important for bonsai. Strongly depends on taste, and some people, for example, wouldn't like this kind of massive roots and would say that they are out of proportions compared to the trunk. I'm not against that. I can understand that according to some aesthetical standards, these roots are too big for tree like that. Even if the pod is quite big, the tree itself and the trunk is massive, they are more or less okay, but some people may find it that they are too strong. There is sometimes a need to change those roots. What can we do with the roots of a tree? There are a few important things regarding the roots. So one of them is if they are in proportion to the trunk. Another aspect is in what kind of angle the roots are connected to the ground, to the soil level. In some cases, for example, in collected trees, you have roots which are really 90 degrees to the trunk. Sometimes it's okay. Sometimes if the tree was originally growing on very uneven terrain, sometimes roots go up and they look like they're going out from the pot, similar like this one. So creating really big design challenges for bonsai artists to deal with that. With some of those roots you can deal and you can try to change them or improve them over time, and some of them are not able to improve, and then you have to consider if the material is suitable for you or not. If you don't like this kind of massive roots with massive trunk, then maybe the collected Yamadori tree from the wild is not your thing, and I can totally understand the approach, and then you have to go for a completely different type of source material and work with the roots in a way which will create the nebari, which will look more like standard bonsai nebari as we know it from the magazines and from the top bonsai exhibitions. So in case we want to rectify the not good roots and we want to improve some of their design faults, what we can do? We can do two things. Basically, we can try to change the roots one by one or try to improve them one problem at a time with, for example, root grafting at the empty places or with removing some kind of large roots and then hoping for new roots to emerge from the cut area. I remember when I was reading it many years ago in one bonsai magazine about creating bonsai from Zelkova material, and the Japanese master who was creating these trees was basically saying you have to remove the larger root from the nebari and continuously do that. And it was like 10 years ago, I can remember it really well, that I thought like, this guy must smoke something, yeah, remove the largest root from the nebari, it's crazy, it's dangerous and so on. But thing is that basically this is what you have to do. If you want to have more standard nebari, you are continuously removing really large roots, hoping for 2-3 new roots growing from the wound which you created by sawing off the root very close to the trunk. And then if you have multiple of these big roots, you maybe don't want to risk the life of a tree and remove too many big roots from the nebari at one go. You have to work on it continuously, and every spring season when you repot the tree, you try to incrementally improve your nebari with dealing with every single root as a separate problem. So you can do it like this. It will take you a time. It's less risky. The result is questionable, but if you want to prevent any kind of, let's say, big dieback, or you are afraid of ruining your tree by some major design horticultural approach like air layering, then you have to do it incrementally with every single root, every single, let's say, spring season, and try to improve it. Now we are coming to air layering. Air layering is radical technique of completely changing the old nebari for a new set of roots in different level. And this technique is, I think it's crucial for every bonsai enthusiast if you want to push your bonsai level up and create really good trees along the way, how you are working on your collection. I think it's absolutely necessary to master this technique and to try it with a small specimen at first, and then continue to maybe try to deal with much complicated material and maybe do a more risky operation. So air layering is similar technique, but we are changing all the root system for a new one at once. We are trying to obtain evenly distributed root system consisting of roots of the same diameter and with many roots exiting the trunk at the same level, so we can work on those roots continuously in the following seasons and develop really nice radially spreading nebari, even size of the roots. What we try to then continuously do is that our roots are dividing very close to the trunk, there is bifurcation from one root to another roots, and then again very close to the bifurcation, another bifurcation, and we are creating really dense nebari very close to the trunk. Why it is important? Because if we have a tree which is in a pot, the space in a pot is limited. If we are developing the tree and we are trying to make a tree better and better, what we are trying to do is we try to repot the tree into even smaller pots, usually very shallow, and they are very nice. They are aesthetically really pleasing, but there is really not a lot of space. And the space in a bonsai pot is very valuable asset. And we have to understand that root of this size occupying the space in a pot is not providing the same amount of water to the tree as the bunch of hairy roots which will eventually be here in case the nebari is consisting of for example, air-layered roots. What we're trying to do is continuously change the size of the roots to obtain a lot of very fine roots inside the bonsai pot, so we can continuously transfer the tree into smaller pot, but still provide the plant with enough water from your watering, and so the tree can survive and thrive in the confined space of bonsai pot. That's why we are trying to change the big roots for much smaller roots, and that's why we sometimes are making a decision, drastic decision, to completely change the one nebari for new set of fresh roots which are different in diameter, which are really fine, which will bifurcate very close to the trunk, and which will create a really dense root ball which will provide enough resources for our plant. So that was the reason why I was layering my elm tree, which is now in winter storage. This is the answer to Brandon's question. Maybe it's satisfactory. If it wasn't and something is missing, let me know down below in the comment. And if you haven't so far, push the subscribe button and subscribe to my channel. The question number 2, some time ago somebody was asking me what kind of tools I'm using for carving dead parts on my trees. I use the simple answer, I use different types of tools for big Makita or for Dremel. This kind, similar like very well-known terrier, which are removing a lot of wood. I use mostly those for Dremel, but what I want to say is that my most popular tools right now are this kind of saber tooth, which I saw first time in videos of Graham Potter, and I have to tell you, I have few of those with different shapes, this kind of round or cones or ball shape, and different colors with even larger tooth, and there are much finer ones also. So why I'm talking about those? Because I think if you are asking me what kind of tools I'm using, you are most probably very new to the hobby, and the working with power tool and with carving of your tree and dead stumps and things like that is quite a risky operation. You need to take a precaution, you need to protect yourself, try to protect your hands, eyes, and so on and so on. And those kind of tools compared to this kind of rotary tools are much safer, and they are working very smoothly, even if they are removing not so big amounts of dead wood at a time, but they are really nice to work with. If you are a beginner, those are much better ones. which will provide you much better control over your power tool and still give you really good result in removing the dead parts and carving the parts need to do. So you can find them on Graham Potter website, but also if you are from different part of the world, I found the local supplier in Czech Republic on some website, so you can basically find them all over the place. So this is my recommendation for carving tools. I'm not going to work with the carving tool now. So it seems it's everything for today, for very short Q&A session. Thank you very much for watching and see you next time.